Hello again. We're back for our first semester food web review. Our first concept we're reviewing is Earth's environments can be classified into a variety of ecosystems, including freshwater, marine, desert, forest, grassland, and tundra. These unique ecosystems support different varieties of organisms. Remember that organisms are anything that is alive. So a terrestrial ecosystem. These are land ecosystems. The first one is the forest. Forests have many trees with needles or with leaves, shrubs, grasses, and ferns, and a variety of animals. They usually get more rain than grasslands. Diverse types of animals can be found in forest depending on their type. Deciduous trees lose their leaves each fall and grow new foliage or leaves each spring. Examples of animals found in deciduous forest are black bears, deer, red foxes, voles, which are kind of like weasels, rabbits, and cardinals. We live in a deciduous forest. Evergreen forests have trees that stay green all year and are located at higher altitudes, in the mountains or in the plains along the central latitudes. These are called coniferous forests because these pine trees have cones. Many types of organisms make their homes in forest ecosystems. Temperatures in forests may vary depending on where the forest is located. Rainforests are located in tropical areas that have a tall canopy of broadleaf trees. Tree frogs, toucans, monkeys, and vines typically live in rainforest. Grasslands have fertile soil and are covered with tall grasses. They usually get a medium amount of rain, but less than forests. Temperatures may also vary, that means change, depending on where the grassland is located. Some examples of animals that live in prairie grasslands along the plains in the United States are elk, prairie dogs, bison, which are buffalo, and grasshoppers. The savannas of Africa are home to many organisms, including elephants, cheetahs, lions, zebras, giraffe, scrub trees, grasses, and so on. Other names for grasslands are steppe, that's what they call them in Russia, pampas, which is in South America. The African savanna covers almost half the continent. Deserts are ecosystems with very little precipitation and extreme temperatures. Some deserts are hot most of the time, such as the Chihuahuan Desert in Texas. Other deserts are cold most of the time. Did you know that Antarctica is a desert? It gets very little precipitation and it has extreme cold temperatures all year. Organisms that live in warm deserts, such as lizards, small rodents, cacti, and sagebrush, are very good at conserving water and surviving in extreme temperatures. Polar tundras are treeless ecosystems in cold Arctic regions. The soil is frozen most of the year with a short summer and a long winter. Many animals spend only the summer there and migrate to warmer areas with snowfall. Other animals live there year-round, such as caribou, reindeer, Arctic foxes, Arctic hares, and polar bears. Plants in polar tundras have short leaves and short roots. Aquatic ecosystems. Aquatic means water. Aquatic ecosystems fall into two categories: marine, or saltwater ecosystems, and freshwater ecosystems. Marine saltwater ecosystems. About 97% of Earth's water is salty. Ecosystems that encompass or have a large area of saltwater are called marine biomes, which include oceans, coral reefs, and estuaries. Some marine biomes are warm, such as tropical reefs. Some marine biomes are cold, such as the Arctic and the Southern Oceans. Marine biomes are home to many different kinds of organisms. Sharks, whales, fish, sponges, and plankton all make their home in marine biomes. All of these organisms live in salt water. The open ocean is a vast ecosystem represented by Earth's 5 oceans. Zooplankton and larger animals feed on the phytoplankton and on each other. Large animals such as whales and giant groupers may live their entire lives in the open ocean. Estuaries are found where salt water from oceans mix with fresh water from rivers along the coast. Estuaries are home to seabirds and shorebirds, fish, crabs, lobsters, clams, and other shellfish, marine worms, raccoons, and many reptiles. Coral reefs are delicate ecosystems built from the secretions of tiny marine organisms. The rich diversity of marine life depends on the reefs for food and shelter. Unfortunately, many fragile reefs are being destroyed by pollution and misuse. Freshwater ecosystems, these are about 3% of the earth is freshwater with little or no salt. Organisms that live in freshwater cannot survive in saltwater. Freshwater ecosystems include rivers, lakes, ponds, streams, and some wetlands. Algae are tiny plants that live in freshwater biomes. They use energy from the sun to make their own food. Other examples of organisms that live in freshwater ecosystems are salmon, frogs, salamanders, ducks, smaller fish, and insects. Key Concept 2. Food chains diagram the transfer of energy as it flows from the sun to producers, which are plants, to primary consumers, which are the herbivores, to secondary consumers, the carnivores that eat the herbivores, and on to tertiary consumers, which are carnivores that eat carnivores. The movement of food energy from one organism to another is called a food chain. Take a look at the food chain on the left. The arrows show how energy is passed from one organism to another. Energy from the sun is absorbed by the plants and stored in their leaves and seeds. Remember, they make their energy from photosynthesis. The primary consumer, which is that little mouse, are herbivores that eat plants. Secondary consumers are the carnivores that eat herbivores, that is the snake. And the tertiary consumers are the carnivores that eat the carnivores. The mouse is an herbivore and a primary consumer that eats seeds for energy. The snake, a carnivore and a secondary consumer, eat the mouse. The hawk, a carnivore and a tertiary consumer, eats the snake. And not shown are the decomposers, which are very important, that will break down the bodies of the plants and animals when they die. Key Concept 3. Food webs diagram the complex relationships of energy flow in an ecosystem containing a variety of producers, consumers, and decomposers. The movement of energy in a food web is similar to movement along a one-way street. The energy flows in one direction from one organism to another. It does not flow backward. For example, in the food web on the right, the zebra gets energy directly from the grass it eats. The grass does not get its energy from the zebra. When the zebra dies, a decomposer, such as a dung beetle, will break down its body down into nutrients that the grass can use. Remember, the initial source of all the energy is the sun. A food web can include many connections. In the food web on the right, several animals rely on the zebra as a food source. The lion, hyena, and cheetah all hunt the zebra. No matter how many connections a food web has, energy flows from the sun to producers and from producers to consumers. Decomposers help return energy from the producer and the consumer back to the food web. Key Concept 4 is the addition or removal of an organism in a food chain can affect other organisms. We'll be doing a worksheet on that. Key Concept 5, which is the last, environmental changes such as deforestation, disease, human activities, and invasive species, which are species that don't belong, bring changes in resources that will cause some organisms or populations to perish or move while permitting other organisms or populations to thrive. The consequences of an environmental change affect an entire food web and not just a single food chain. Forest fires cause the removal of key plant and animal life that provide crucial or needed food sources for multiple creatures. Just like removing the foundation of a bridge, which causes the whole structure to collapse, removing key organisms from a food web can cause an ecosystem to collapse. Nature exists in a delicate balance wherein all creatures struggle for survival. When the balance is upset by disease, natural disaster, overpopulation, or human intervention, gaps are created in the local food web, ultimately leading to a decline in the entire ecosystem. Let's look at the picture on the left. If one part of a food web is lost, the entire food web suffers. What would happen to the coyote carnivores population if wildfires killed the prairie grass eaten by the deer or the herbivores? Without the grass, the deer would die, leading to the death of coyotes, because eventually the deer would have nothing to eat if there was no grass, and then the coyotes wouldn't have anything to eat either.